So, welcome to the episode of Marketing Think Tank.
Thank you.
So, we are here to dive deep into the ever evolving landscape of real estate marketing. But before we start with that, I'm very interested to know how your journey led to where you are. You both have achieved a certain milestone in your current company, but I'm very curious to know, I'm sure our audience are also very curious to know what led you to be here where you are, especially when it's talked about real estate marketing. Let's start with you.
Thanks. So my journey, it's been quite interesting. I have always been, inclined towards the creative side of things. So growing up, watching ads, wondering how that script happened and how the entire idea came about and how the products were marketed. And I got into, learning advertising in college itself. And then I had a few stints in advertising. And I think I really enjoyed myself when it came to advertising. But there was one thing which I always realized, that when I was doing client servicing, these ideas in terms of what the company wanted to communicate were already pre-formed within the company itself. And that's when I said that, I just don't want to handle communication. I want to handle all of it. I want to create that idea which led to that communication, which led to that product. So that's when I sort of did my MBA. I did my master's in marketing. And straight out of that, I got a great opportunity in real estate. And that was, when you're in MBA and you're doing marketing, everyone's looking at the FMCGs of the world. Everyone's looking at Apple, HUL, P&Gs, and those brands up there. Amul, everyone wants to do marketing for Amul. But there's a whole world out of all of that. And I'm very glad that I got into real estate. And I would, if I had another opportunity, I would do it all over again.
Great. What about you, Satanik?
So it's a little versatile background, I would say. So my study says that I'm a biotechnologist. So that's how I started. But what intrigued me that point of time, more than me doing those wet lab, dry lab testing, how those patents are being marketed. That intrigued me that point of time while I was doing my graduation, and that led me for my MBA. MBA, of course, my specialization was marketing, and as he rightly said, that the dream job, the dream companies would be those FMCGs. I also got into one. So my career start happened with Nestle. So Nestle, thankfully, I was in a division which is not in Nestle. In fact, all the companies I've worked with, it was not the typical division which runs the company, right? So for Nestle, it is more like a retail dominated company, right? But where I was, it was NPD, New Product Development and Corporate Activation. So while I was there with the team's effort, we launched Maggi coconut milk powder and Nestea iced tea premix in India. So coconut milk powder was a Sri Lanka made product. It was imported over here.
And I happened to, in fact, see it in Sri Lanka.
Oh, awesome.
And picked up a few also.
Nice. So the job profile was even more interesting. You go to the star hotels, sit with the executive chef, give them the sample, sit with them while they cook, and get their advice that which dish it will be more suited for, right? So then you take that input, give it to the brand team, they prepare the communication accordingly, and then product comes out in the market. So that was my first, job in Nestle, and then of course the corporate activation. That how do you make sure your corporate visibility is there, the institutional visibility is more dominant, right? You go to any hotel today, the in-room, your coffee powder, your milk sachet, it should be Nescafe, it should be Sunrise, or it could be that crema which Nestle produce. So that's how the visibility, merchandising, and all those things came into picture. But what I figured out that it's a vast ocean, right? So whatever you do, you're one out of that 1 lakh people, which is already existing. I always had that craving of doing something new, doing something very different. That point of time, I joined Times of India. So again, Times of India, not that print vertical, 2010 and 11 I'm talking about. I joined TIL, Times Internet Limited. Internet was very new at that point of time, right? So I had to explain what is impression. Now, today's date, it is obsolete, right? So I remember, there were a few CMOs I had to interact with, part of brand solutions team. Part of that brand solution come sales, who's to explain how impression works. Like if you scroll down, your impression gone, that counts as one impression. Those kind of questions I used to answer back then. Slowly, steadily it evolved. So Magic Bricks was part of TIL, right? So that's how my real estate orientation started happening, right? So while I was in Times, I got a great opportunity. That point of, I'm thankful to that opportunity today. One of the leaderships of Times, they moved and joined hands with the founder of commonfloat.com.
Okay.
Right, so it was very nascent stage of Common Flow. They just got in some incubation, money to start off from Excel Partners, and that's how he joined and he pulled me in.
Okay.
So I was one of their initial members, building that brand from scratch, and moved on to 30 different cities, scaled up to very different level altogether. Ran for 3 years, then got sold to Quicker. So that is my real estate, I would say incubation/induction. But what I figured then that whatever I could do in FMCG/established sector, it was already been done by somebody else. But in real estate, that was all new.
So
Like you do something that is new in real estate. I remember in 2012-13, today we talk about VR and all those things in real estate, right? We experimented with Google Cardboard. So we developed an app which is integrated with your smartphone. Push that smartphone in VR, that Google card, we introduced that product as CF Retina.
Okay.
So that point of time we experimented with it, and it's a very new product. Maybe something, it was like Orkut of the world, not the Facebook. So that's how it fizzled out that point of time. So real estate happened then. Then I was an individual consultant. I founded my own companies, which is again into real estate walkthroughs, like the creative part. Being an individual consultant, I handled major brands in South, especially in Bangalore. Then worked with a couple of developers, and here I am with the real estate marketing piece, being my very, very, I would say, passion-driven profession.
So, what I have noticed, and correct me if I'm wrong, even the experiences that you have mentioned, be FMCG or be any other industry, where the product has to come and there is a proper template, right? You come up with the product, you do R&D and you launch. It's not going to be continuous launches in every month or
True.
continuous in a year. You won't maybe go beyond 2 product
for sure.
launch, right?
Yeah.
Real estate makes you on edge because here customer behavior is changing and evolving over the time, and demands are different. They are intelligent. They know what to, have in terms of the amenities or have in terms of the quality and everything. What would you say over the time, how the consumer behavior has changed, especially post-pandemic, and how do you incorporate such changes when you notice in consumers, especially in your marketing strategies?
So what we have seen, pandemic has been life-changing event for all of us, right? So the whole concept of YOLO, you only live once, has probably taken a light bit of shift, right? So earlier, everybody used to believe in, especially millennials and the young age buyers, they used to believe in asset-light model, right? I won't buy, I will rent it out. They were more focused on experience. They still are. But people have understood the importance of a shelter. That basics of roti, kapra, makan have come into more dominant existence, I would say. Affordable. So similarly, you will see in the real estate segment as well, the affordable segment has moved to the mid-market segment, right? That extra half bedroom / 1 bedroom has come into more importance. I can attribute it to the work from home culture. I can attribute it to more people staying together, the family being little enlarged, the parents moving in together for medical reasons, for health reasons, for whatever it is. So as consumer behavior, what we have seen, the demand for a larger house have come into existence. And so as the developers are also looking at it, right? So earlier that 700 square feet, 800 square feet buyer are today looking at 1000 square feet, 1200 square feet with an extra bedroom space. So being a marketer, we are also focusing on those aspects, right? So your work from home is sorted. That's the interior part of it. Now I'm talking about the overall project per se, right? So if you have pergola, or if you have a sitting pod in your amenity, you're making it Wi-Fi enabled. So why do you restrict your work from home from half a bedroom? You can work from anywhere you want. We are trying to accommodate a co-working space within the clubhouse amenities. So a lot of developers are trying to improvise as per the COVID generated needs, right? So that's how the marketing needs and marketing communications are also getting evolved around it. So yeah.
But as Satanik is defining 100,000 square feet and 12,000 or 1,200 square feet, it can happen in Bengaluru market, right? I'm sure. But you coming from Bombay market, you know the limitations when you have to incorporate this customer change on behavior. How do you do that, especially in the Bombay market?
Bombay market is, if I have to say, is very, very similar to New York market, where it's absolutely vertical. There's no space horizontally. And, in fact, Narang Realty has been at the forefront of creating larger spaces. So always it was, the vision of our directors to supersize apartments, because they always saw that there was always a requirement. Now, if I have to, add to the whole COVID story, what happened, there was at one point of time, I'm saying, say about 30, 40 years ago, when apartments used to be fairly large, people wanted spaces, which started reducing because people were looking at the budget. And then it became all about companies trying to create a home within a budget. So they were sort of reverse engineering the house basis of the budget. So if they can manage to fit a 500 square feet apartment in a 1 crore, so be it. And customers were buying it also, because people were thinking that they're spending 12 hours out of the home because they're traveling to work, they're at work, they're coming back, they're just crashing at night. So people were sort of okay with that space. And then comes COVID, and that's an absolute speed breaker, an absolute dead end, where people were stuck within those 500 square feet homes and realized that there is no breathing space, there's not enough ventilation, enough light coming in. And then people said that, okay, let's value our time more. Luckily, this whole work from home shift came about, and a lot of people that I know who never even heard of work from home, it existed earlier, but had the options and the opportunity of working from home. I do know people who've even willing to sort of sacrifice how much they're earning just because they want to work from home. And companies have also, taken that on board. So that home became a little more important, that balcony became a little more important, that extra half a room which can be used as a study room or a work from home room became more important, so that half room is occupied and the rest of the house functions as it is. And also simultaneously there's been a play for real estate projects not being just about the home anymore. It's more like a hospitality project now. And earlier what used to happen, and I think it still happens in smaller towns, is that you have your home, and then you have a membership of a large gymkhana nearby, where you're going every morning and you're going and doing swimming, or you're playing tennis and coming back, or you're doing it after work. And in Mumbai, you just don't have the time to go to the gymkhanas, and the few gymkhanas which are there are exorbitant. So whatever real space which is there, limited space which is there, the developers in Bombay are just trying to take the key amenities which are just about important to that customer and trying to fit them in the smaller spaces that we have. And that's where you sort of see that Mumbai is saturated. There's no space out here, so developers are sort of putting the amenities on the rooftop because there is space out there, there's an opportunity there. Or they're moving larger projects towards Navi Mumbai, or they're moving them to Thane for that matter, where there are larger land parcels. And I have seen a strong shift. There are people who are taking that drastic decision of moving out of the heart of Mumbai city into a suburb, and which is honestly, if you have to see a lot of global cities, if I have to talk about, whether it is Melbourne or Sydney in Australia, or it's say for example New Jersey and New York, and you see the outskirts of London, the culture of moving into the suburbs to create space for yourself is strongly there. And I see that happening clearly in India. We're not far behind from that.
So when it comes to Bengaluru market, could you highlight what are the important facts that you keep in mind, because that's the customer Bengaluru wants when you are coming with a project? and how different it is when you're talking about two customers of the same. People consider real estate ke projects and real estate customers same hoga, but could you shed light on that how different it is?
Sure. So Bangalore real estate buyers, if I see them out, probably in general Bangalore crowd is a very cosmopolitan crowd, right? So we have seen influx from all across India. That being the Silicon City, majority of them are working in IT hubs. So people are from all across India. Now their demand over there, I would say, is very, very practical, right? There are 2-3 segments of buyers. Of course, that depends on the real estate asset classes which we're talking about. So you'll have a defined investor class, which is more like the native Bangaloreans who have their old houses in the older parts of Bangalore, which is southern part and western part of Bangalore, right? So you have that buyers who will be investing in plotted developments, which is happening in upcoming developing area. Second part is people who are coming in, the migrants, right? So who are coming in to work over there. So they would need a practical living space, which has your sorted interior. Like you don't want a very cramped space to live in. They would enjoy their the spaces, what we call it, most miles per square feet, right? So you have the practical living. You don't want a luxurious foyer. You don't want a very big living hall. But if you have a decent one, which can accommodate a 55 inches television with a decent space, with a 5-seater sofa, and then a space for a dining, things like that, they are sorted. What they also want is a community space, right? What we are seeing, this set of buyers, right? So they would like to roam across. They would want to have their health regime, sorted with a jogging track, with probably some sporting facilities and amenities. They would prefer a yoga / meditation deck, or they would prefer an amphitheater where they can have some social events and things like that. They would need a provision for some supermarkets or maybe an ATM or a pharmacy. Those kind of things are in demand today in the practical buyer segment. And the third segment is the luxurious, real estate asset classes. In Bangalore standard, it could be somewhere like 2.5 crores upwards, right? So that's Bangalore standard I'm talking about. I'm not comparing with Mumbai. But that segment also has a need and hunger for larger spaces, right? They don't mind moving a little out of the core city towards the airport side in Bangalore, which is North Bangalore, which is developing right now. You have large size plots getting sold, large villas getting sold. So those are in demand for the luxury segment as well. And of course, there are some CBD driven housing, right? So that is for the business class who prefers to stay within the city limit and do their business. So 3 segments, as I said. One is the investor class. One would be the practical buyers who would need for their living, probably the first time buyer or aspirants, or they're upgrading from a small town to Bangalore, right?
So in your projects, what is your customer profile like? Are they the first time buyers, or are they like more, as he mentioned, some people have the houses there. So how would you define your customer profile?
So we have a very clear idea that we want to target customers who are definitely not buying their first home. So our audiences are more mature. They would, in terms of age profile, would be say about 35 plus. They are definitely wanting to up their lifestyle. They're wanting to move from their existing family home or a joint family, or even if it's a nuclear family, but a place where they sort of lacked that sort of lifestyle and lifestyle amenities, and they're wanting to move into spaces which are which has everything for everybody, or something for everybody. So our audience, so that's our clear vision, and that's exactly how we go about designing every single product. And when we're talking about these audiences, they're so mature, they're so well traveled, they're so they have a certain flair and a certain taste for things. So it becomes very important for us to curate that experience for them. To ensure that things that we're doing for them, nothing is gimmicky. It's everything. We're putting ourselves in their footsteps every single day, putting ourselves in their shoes every single day, and trying to understand that what is the life that they want to live. And we go about creating that sort of those set of amenities and those sort of experiences for them, whether it is the moment when he's driving into his complex with what sort of a foyer is he expecting, to what sort of a home and the layout that he wants, and the way he sort of looks at his daily life as well as his social life, as well as entertaining guests, to all of that, so that all goes into designing every single product that we do.
So the customers, sorry.
I would like to add one of the incidents what we experienced. So right after COVID, once the world opened up, so we launched one of our projects. There's a place called Whitefield in Bangalore, which is more like an IT hub, and very young population they work over there, right? So young IT crowd and all. So we launched a product which is like configuration wise 700 square feet to around 1100 square feet. That's the configuration. So what we figured out that the buyer segment, you mentioned about 35 plus is your buyer segment. What we figured out that our buyer segment is around 30 plus, right? The 5 years younger, because of the segment we play in. Shriram Properties, that point of time, what we saw that market has a good buyer base between 25 to 30. If I reduce my that age profile by 5 years, I could generate some 10 lakh plus buyers in that same micro market itself. So we did our pricing and the scheme, basically, what you need to invest right now, what kind of help you get from the banks, what kind of help you get from the developers in terms of maintaining your EMI plus rent during the construction period. We worked out on that particular piece, and you won't believe that right after COVID, we were a little skeptic that what kind of response we might get, but people were saving a lot of money that point of time, right? So it was a tremendous response by reducing that age group by 4-5 years. That 10 lakh segment could buy our property. So we are almost that first 3 months of that launch, we could sell out some 70% of our inventories. So that was a nice case study what we did in terms of playing with buyers age group. If you can make a product which is we call it product market fit, but if you can create a category itself for a separate age group altogether, it can make a success. So
my next question was, this market, both Bengaluru and Bombay real estate market, is quite crowded. And when I say crowded, there are a lot and lots of brands, be branded developers or even not known developers. In such market, how do you differentiate your brand? Like, how do you create a value that your customer can know the differentiation between Shriram and Narang Realty among the other players where it's a highly competitive market? So how do you differentiate your brand?
See, I'll take it up in a different way altogether. How Shriram Properties is known in that particular market. So we are very strong in Bangalore and Chennai, and Kolkata we have a massive land parcel over there. So we bought over Hindustan Motors land parcel, which is of 314 acres. So Chennai and Bangalore being our home turf, so Bangalore being our core turf, I would say. We created micro markets, Shriram Properties. So there are certain pockets which we were the first movers. We struggled initially that market, utna dur kaun jaane wala hai? Who will go that far and buy? But we created the pricing strategy accordingly, right? So it is a very low entry product. So initially we saw end users were not coming because they were skeptic. Habitation wise, can I go and live in there right now? No. But what they were not seeing, that house were not delivering or not getting delivered that point of time. It will take some 4 to 5 years to get constructed, the entire project, then you get your delivery. So we had to push initially the end users. Investors, they were intrigued with that kind of pricing. What we created there are some 4 or 5 micro markets I can definitely name which Shriram Properties created, where we went acquired a larger land parcel, created a larger project, let's say 40 acres, 50 acres kind of project which we had launched, successfully sold. Those prices are getting doubled in 3 to 4 years timeline, because the area is developing that in a rapid pace, right?
It becomes a landmark of that.
Yes. So and then the bigger players are also coming in. They are also seeing the opportunity getting created over there. The habitation is also getting developed. The social infra gets developed. The government push also had happened for the infrastructure development and things like that. So Shriram Properties I have always seen they have created that value for money, be it as an end user or as an investor, right? So how quickly you can get a lucrative return as an investor, or if you can put it on a rent, right? So that 3 to 4% yield is typically what real estate demands in resi segment. Bangalore has always consistently have been seeing that. And very strategic locations, very close to the IT segment where the employment is getting generated, right? It's not in there, but it is probably 20 minutes away from there in terms of distance. So people don't mind traveling that 20% to probably save 10 lakhs of rupees in their housing investment. So that mattered. So what do you choose at 10 lakh rupees as a saving? Because per square feet rate gets reduced that much if you travel that 20 minutes distance. So that worked. So Shriram Properties has always been known as giving back to the investors with handsome return. And for the end users as well, you choose today, tomorrow your friends will be envious that, boss, you invested 3 years back, you got it in that price. Today I'm buying in the same area, probably I'm paying double the price. So that's how we have differentiated ourselves. The second part is the living area. See, here we sell it in carpet area, right? So in southern market, we still sell it in the super built up area. So super built up area versus carpet area, there is always a differentiation, right? So around 30%. 30% loading has always been there. We always have focused on highly efficient design. How can I reduce my wastage, right? So, within that 800 square feet of super built up area, you get equal size of master bedroom, living area, kitchen, and all the practical living areas versus 1,000 square feet where you are wasting in, as we're mentioning, that large foyer, which you will not use beyond a mirror on the wall or maybe a shoe rack, right? So, so those kind of things we had always focused on. Design efficiency and your return to the investment, whatever the investors are doing.
Which is so true. That is exactly what even happens in our company, in our organization, that every square feet, since Mumbai real estate is so expensive, we are constantly engineering and re-engineering that home till absolutely the last day, that we're trying to minimize any sort of wastages, minimize any sort of passage areas. We sort of get into in terms of percentages. So we're calculating that, okay, 5% wastage or 3% wastage or 2% wastage. And we're constantly trying to shave that off and trying to constantly create spaces within that home which could have multi-utility. So whether it is a sort of a niche which has been created, where you can sort of fit a work from home desk, or whether you could put up create a bar if you wanted to out there, or if you had to create a bookshelf out there. So constantly creating spaces within that home also which have that multi-utility, and keeping in mind that Indians, we love to have so many things at home. There has to be enough storage spaces in those rooms. If you create a 10 by 10, 10 by 11, 10 by 12 rooms, you don't have enough space apart from just one set of wardrobe. So to ensure that every space really counts, it's very critical. And when it comes to the way we sort of go about marketing ourselves also, is we are very, very, very thorough about our product. We every material that we're using, what type of a Italian marble flooring that we're using, specifically, say for example, if I'm talking about a Botticino marble, so we're spelling it out that this is Botticino marble, this is so many thick. The reason why we've gone ahead so many thick is so that it does not develop cracks over a period of time. Say for example, if it's our driveway, we're using so many thick granite out there, which is different from a regular paver block, because this can sort of withstand a lot of weight over a period of time, and even if someone had to drive a fire truck over it, it will not crack. To the extent of saying that your windows are system designed, they're of certain gauge, be it as per the wind pressure calculations in mind, to every minute detail. So in fact, when it comes to even launching a new project, we do not use many stock images. We don't believe in creating and buying stock images. That's a very easy fix. We go ahead, if it takes time, effort, so be it, but we want to go for a render which is made absolutely from the original AutoCAD file, which is finally going to get executed, because we value the fact that it shouldn't be that when we are showing a balcony and when the final customer, he gets his home, it should feel like, oh, this balcony looks bigger than what it looked in the image also, and not the other way around. So every creative, every sort of thing has to have something which is specific and not just a random person or a random family standing in a balcony and looking at the sky, or you see the building tops in clouds and all of that. That's something that we don't do.
Okay. So if I had to ask both of you in 4 words, how would you differentiate your brand among the competition that you are leading your brand in, especially in this particular market of Bengaluru and Bombay? Let's start with you, Satanik.
So first thing, what we have also seen that we have cut the ice with the first time home buyers. So again, they have certain limitations on the budget. They have certain dream or rather certain vision about their house as well. They find that all the practical living I was mentioning earlier as well, the practical living aspect, which we feel that we have done well as compared to our competitors or the other players in the market. Second part is the value for money, or rather more value for money, is what I would definitely focus on, rather thrust on, which you have given to the investor, be it on an institutional level or on a retail level. So these two, I would definitely say that one of the biggest differentiators if I compare.
If I have to use 4 words, I would say that trust. Trust is very critical, and we ensure that we build trust with customers by sort of, the first thing that we do is first we go ahead and start the construction. There's work happening for a few months. There are a good number of workers and engineers and laborers at site, and that's maybe 3 months, 6 months down the line is when we actually go ahead and launch the product. There is, when that customer walks in, he's clearly seeing that some amount of work has happened. Not like you create a fancy sales office and the work is absolutely just an empty barren piece of land. That's not the way we work. We want to show that you can trust us, and there's work happening at a phenomenal pace. And those 3 to 6 months creates some phenomenal curiosity, because people are always wondering that these guys have not put up a single sign of what they're doing here or selling anything, and there's so much work happening at such large volume. So trust is one thing that is very critical to us. Tangibles, so what a customer is getting in his home, every specific detail is clearly listed down, and a sales guy, when he's talking to a customer, he's explaining everything in detail. It's like sort of when you're buying a luxury car, whether it is, you may say there would be one brand which is say we're giving you leather seats, and the other brand which is saying that we're giving you Napa leather seats, which are from a certain grade of a certain animal from a certain location, which was fed a certain food. So we talk about tangibles absolutely in detail. We talk about the overall value that we are delivering. So, whatever the home buyer, the home price would be, it's very important for that customer at whatever stage to feel that I'm getting more than what I'm paying for. And that's something that value has to be, he should feel that value, and that we concentrate on that. Okay, that this product is not priced correctly. I will buy it today and this is going to go 2x or at least 1.5x, soon enough. And value is very critical. And I would say that apart from that, it'll be there's a maturity that we don't try to use any gimmicks to sell our product. It's absolutely as honest, as transparent as possible. No gimmicks at all. No clickbait ads. No sort of gimmicky hoardings with crazy headlines. It's everything is we're talking to a mature person. He knows what he's buying, so we're not trying to over educate him or teach him something or try to fool him.
So what I feel the biggest I would say not just hindrance but challenge for a marketing person in real estate is building loyalty.
For any product you can have a loyal customers, but when it comes to real estate where the competition is high, options, varieties are so many, the customer can keep on changing, right? So coming to building loyalty, what would you say that, of course, building loyalty is also related to the infrequent nature of the transactions happening, but how do you create that long-term relationship with customer, knowing that maybe when you have converted or made them loyal basis on the first purchase that they did, why would they consider you for the second purchase? How do you build that loyalty?
So it's purely based on the engagement piece, right? So unlike any other products or services, it's a fairly long-term engagement what we are talking about.
True.
Let's say if, of course, depends on which stage of the product the customer is buying in, but let's assume that the construction just has started or a pre-launch stage somebody buys. So till he gets the handover, it's 3 to 4 years journey, right? So starting from the day he is making his booking till the day he is getting the key is where we need to focus very, very, I would say minutely. Why we say that? Because a customer who has booked, I cannot just leave him alone, right? So there are different ways and means we get in touch with him, be it in terms of the project updates, be it in terms of some value adds, right? There is some event which we are, let's say, sponsoring for that matter. So Shriram Properties is known for a marathon, which is our IP over there. So Shriram Properties Marathon, we do it yearly once.
Nice.
So if that is happening, we ensure that we communicate these to all our customers as well. And we have some free passes, or we give them that benefit and privilege to join, right? So without spending any further money. If you are sponsoring any music event for that matter. So I'm just talking about there are different pieces and different engagement models we get involved with. The third part could be the meet and greet program, right? So we very frequently we host those meet and greet program, be it at the project level or be it at the organizational level at different intervals. That happens. So in terms of the customer's mind, we are there, right? So Shriram Properties is there. Then if he wants, some disputes come in, let's say, okay, I've paid, but it's not reflecting, or there's a CRM person, so that their CRM comes into picture. So you have a full-fledged CRM team / CXM team. CXM team is customer experience, right? So how he is, taking shape as a customer to us. So we have two bifurcations again. So one is, as you mentioned, that loyalty. Loyalty is when the customer is making his second purchase. The second part is referral. So loyalty and referrals are two verticals. If I'm a customer of Shriram Properties, I may buy another product. Depends on my portfolio. If I'm a first-time buyer, I also assess the portfolio, right? Whether I'll be ready to buy the next product in next 2 years or not. Is it worth pitching me, or can I help as an organization? Can I help this customer that you don't have to pay anything right now? It's a plotted development. It's a low entry product. You probably need to. I will help you with the EMI holidays so that you don't have to take that burden. And he is also building his own asset. So we prepare certain piece of it. That's also an engagement model. What we do, it is not just a marketing campaign. It is not just an ATL medium which we use. We go one-on-one. So there are relationship managers from CRM perspective. We have relationship manager from our referral team as well. We go to their house and offices. We explain them about the product, about the investment piece. If they are comfortable, if they say that, okay, I will not be eligible for my, they say I need to take a bank loan of 50 lakhs for that matter. And I've already stretched myself in your product itself. I'm short of 10 lakhs as far my eligibility goes. What we do, we go a little extra hand. We talk to the bankers with our existing, relationship. Some bankers would agree that, okay, can you stretch his eligibility for 10 more lakhs? Now we come back to them that this is the guy who's having a good portfolio, he's having a stable job, a good source of income. Can you help him buy this product? If they are okay, they do it. So there are cases where we have gone this extra mile to help our customers. The second part is the referral piece, that if you are not okay, can you refer any of your friends and families or colleagues? Then you get certain referral benefits as well, right? So likewise, we try to penetrate their network. It's more like a hub and spoke model, right? Where you identify the hubs and then you spread across through his network. It's not always HNIs, right? So especially with the clientele we deal with, we in the sense Shriram Properties is more like, as I mentioned, that mid-market premium, where first-time home buyers are there, or there could be some set of buyers who probably in the next 10 years will not buy. Those kind of segments are also there. Getting extra money out of their pocket, we need to go that extra mile to help them out. So there we use our existing relationship with all our associate business partners, and that's how we keep engaging with them with the regular intervals.
And how are you building loyalty with your customers?
So there's one thing which is clear across, and all types of products, is that the cost of acquisition of a new customer is far higher than sort of retaining an existing customer. And the fact is that when somebody has finally gone through the entire journey of discovering you and going ahead and buying your product, once he's bought it only after he's 100% sure. So when he's 100% sure, he's already a brand ambassador for you. You have to ensure that you're giving him enough opportunities to speak his mind and talk to his peers. So as he rightly said that we go over and above in terms of doing things for our customers, whether it is sponsoring events. And I'm just saying that just a couple of weeks ago we were sponsoring a musical event, and a customer of ours reached out and said that can I have tickets for this musical event, and I want to go for it and I want to take my family. We ensured that he got the absolute best seats in that entire auditorium, went over and above to ensure that had to happen, because it's about his experience, which has to be amazing. And doing whether it is just catching up with them while hosting a match, for example. People like to come together to watch a match together, so we are hosting matches for them, we are hosting wine and cheese events for them. We're just sort of constantly trying to engage with them. And but naturally what happens is that every time you're connecting with these guys, they themselves walk up to you and say, hey, I told my brother and he's interested and I would love to bring him here. Great, please bring him. And let me tell you, Kritika, that even when we have offered to incentivize loyalty, there are most customers just turn it down and say, hey, I don't want anything. I'm happy to be an ambassador for you guys and bring my friends and family, because ultimately it's a benefit for me that I'm able to bring my circle within my own complex and within my same building. And it's amazing how people have gone ahead and got crazy amount of referrals into the same complex. So loyalty plays a critical role. And we have, in fact, like say for example, our projects in Thane. So we've delivered projects in the 90s and we've done in the early 2000s, and now we're still constructing 2 new projects in Thane. And we've seen that there are those people who bought in the 90s who are wanting to upgrade and take a larger apartment or want newer amenities, and those are the guys who are happy and they're saying that I loved where I stayed and I'm happy with your product and I want to ensure that I'm moving into your new home, with us. And we've had a lot of those guys. So it's very important that what you're selling to that customer once, you ensure that you keep him happy for a lifetime. And yes.
Another aspect to it is the one of the very critical part in the delivered projects for all of us, right? So you have a captive audience where you can garner referral or loyalty, from them. What we also do is going back to the societies basis their call, like even if it's a handed over project. So let's say, for example, somebody is saying my swimming pool tiles are not okay right now, it's broken. We go ahead and fix them, right? So, the second thing could be, in my society, there's a need of a temple. We go ahead and build them. So that's how you be, again, one of their, top of the mind recall. While there's some problem, they will reach out to us and we don't shy away from
so true. We've
engaging with them.
Same thing. Yes, so true.
So there you can actually go to them and say that, okay, I have a new launch. Can I host a party for your community? They will be more than happy to oblige us to take us to door to door and say that, okay, this is their new project. Why don't you evaluate at their end? It is not a push. It's kind of a reach and awareness within our family, we call it. And that's how the referral and loyalty definitely, come into very, very, very high importance, I would say.
Also, I would say the customer experience, like how you mentioned, if they have asked you to build a temple or even fixing a tile, that experience of that customer will always be there, that builder did do this work even after the post sales.
Yes.
So coming to the customer experience becoming the very focus now in real estate, making sure the customer experience is superior, not just on the first hand purchase till the post sales.
Right.
How do you maintain that? Because there have been a lot of launches where I go as a customer just to see, how's the sales office, and mostly on a weekend because that's a busy time,
Correct.
right? That's where you feel the real customer experience because you would know who's paying attention to you, even if you're a potential buyer, even your buyer who just walked in.
Right.
So there were a few things which I have noticed, which I have discussed in past, which I want to share with you. There are now a lot of channel partners, right? Every brand is working with channel partner. Every
Correct.
brand has given certain mandate to certain channel partners. As a customer, when I go to sales office, I could see that difference in the talk. I could see the difference even the way as a customer I'm spoken to or told about the project or the way it's told. How do you maintain that communication? Because that communication is, I feel, still not worked upon, especially in bigger brands or smaller brands, because majorly what I've seen, I could see clear distinction between a channel partner and a sales office team of that particular brand. And it is still chaos.
Correct.
So how do you make sure, because as a customer, when I'm facing that, I would not get into it. I would see that, oh, this is like havoc. I rather see other project. Maybe there I would see a better kind of customer experience. How do you maintain that kind of experience for a customer?
So I'll take a step back, before getting into this particular question, that how do we start, right? So once the product configuration and the architecture is frozen, right? So the next step is GTM. So we talk internally within the marketing team along with our agencies and things like that. What could be the go-to-market strategy in terms of creative, in terms of campaign ideas, in terms of media spread, in terms of how we are entertaining our customers at the sales office? What could be the tangible experiences? What could be my mass experience? Now, once the GTM is frozen more or less, and we have a date that, okay, this date could be the launch and this could be my launch strategy. Let's say we pre-launch with a code name and then we have a launch. That could be the UI period, or we go ahead directly with a walk-in booking kind of mode, whatever it is. We do a proper planning of a kickoff meeting internally first. Who are the part of it or who drives it? The marketing team typically drives that kickoff along with the product team, right? Product team will talk about the product in depth, right? This will be your unit configuration. This is your tower configuration. This will be your open spaces, whatever detailing of the product. Marketing team will talk about the USPs. This unit is the sunset unit. This unit is a sunlight unit. Here the cross ventilation is superb. There could be the Vastu compliant, the most Vastu compliant unit. Those are the USPs which we talk about from product marketing per se. Then comes the creative piece, that this is the way we are taking the product out. Now, why do we do that? To ensure, starting from my hoarding to my newspaper to the sales, like the shop floor guys, right? So whoever is talking to the customer, they speak the same language. So that's one integrated communication approach which we plan. The second part, what we do is an ops plan, the customer ops plan, that this is my sales office architecture. This is my brand wall. This is my product wall. This is my proximity wall, that location wall. This will be my communication wall. Here my scale model will be placed. Here my sample flat will be there. My customer will come in through these 2-3 roads. This will be my drop off. This will be my valet parking. Here somebody will escort them, and this will be the flow. First, let's say they come to the reception, then there will be an allocation center. They will be allocated to some sales manager. Sales manager will be taking them to the AV room. From the AV room, they will come to the negotiation table, and so on and so forth, right? It's an entire journey. This is how we plan. Once that is done, up to 80 to 90%, we try to follow that. But as you rightly said, weekends are unpredictable, right? So if it is like, if I'm getting crowd which is beyond my expectation, then what we do, we allocate in groups, right? Instead of attending one-on-one customer, we'll probably do, let's say AV room will be sending some 30 customers to be seated in, right? So that's how we try to create that. Now, how we ensure that it is happening all throughout the phases is where we deploy our internal auditors, who will be sitting across the tables, who will be listening to the conversations, who will see what kind of the questions customers are asking. And then on the table, we might not have the answer that point of time, or probably it is unplanned. We go back to our desk and work on the rebuttals, right? So these are the questions which customers are asking. Can we not come back to them or give them this particular piece? Where another thing comes handy is the competition killer, right? Competition killer is another process where we study all the competitions in detail. right? What they are offering versus what we are offering. 80% might be the same, but how do I differentiate again, right? Or probably what they are not having, what we are having. So this is the way we probably create that entire opportunity doc. We call it OpDoc basically. So that opportunity docs is made so that if the customer is seeing, I cannot expect the customer to come to my shop, buy and go. We are not selling soaps and shampoos, right? So they will be visiting and it's fair. So let them visit, come back to us with our strength. We will stick to our strength and entire campaign will talk about the strength. And that's how the integrated communication come into picture. And that's how we try to entertain our customer experience, especially during the heavyweight launches and all those parts all throughout. Sustenance mode is little different. Sustenance mode is more like, people are aware of this particular product. It's there since some time right now. They are still opting for it. Maybe one for the brand, second for the budget range, third for, the kind of supply they want in that micro market. It's not there, right? So that's how people will come and buy sustenance. Of course, there are campaign push and all those things. But what we ensure, the communication, periodically we change the campaigns as well, right? But the communication also change on the shop as well as the sales managers, whoever they speak to. As far as channel partners are concerned, there is another drill. So we have a channel partners team. We cannot avoid channel partners today because they are in South, especially in Bangalore, what we have seen, of our business being contributed by the channel partners, right? There could be institutional channel partners, retail channel partners, or maybe IPCs, whoever it is. We ensure that it is mapped under our RM. So relationship manager, we call them relationship managers. Everybody will be handling some 20 to 30 channel partners. They ensure they visit their offices. Whoever is selling from their offices, they will train them on the similar way and they speak the same part. But can I ensure 100% perfection? No. But that's the typical way this industry works. But as far as the communication, the deployment of the creative, we also help them with the creative as well without the CTA. So you put your CTA but use my creative. We go to that extent so that the communication is seamless and it's like one communication.
True. As you very rightly said that, you've been to projects during the weekend and you've seen that there is so much chaos which is happening. And that's something that I've experienced it in so many projects myself. Like, I've gone to these, I would not name the project, but it's a huge, massive sales lounge that they've created. And that waiting lounge is only filled with channel partners because they're just sitting there and maybe waiting for customers, making calls to customers, so it creates a lot of chaos and they occupy a lot of space. So the first thing that we've done is that we've created a separate channel partner lounge. So let them go and relax in that channel partner lounge when they're waiting for their customer. They have their own set of separate water bottles and dispensers and tea and coffee and air-conditioned space and everything that they need, and a desk and newspaper and whatever they need. Their waiting lounge is completely separate, and they're requested that it's only when their customer is near about, then they can sort of wait in the common area. So we absolutely disperse that crowd completely from there, and they're completely, I'm sure that they're very happy sitting in that space because they have so much comfort and luxury out there. And right at the time when our architecture team is designing what a sales office should look like is when the marketing team gets involved and the sales team gets involved, where we're deciding that how the flow would be. Like as he rightly said, when the customer comes in and when he's sitting and he's waiting for filling the iPad form, what is he seeing, what's his experience, what is in front of him, what is in his eyesight, to when he's attended to by a RM, and then he's moving from there to the model, to the experience, the product experience center, to eventually the sample show flats. There has to be a design in such a way that there is no overlap, that there is no coming back or crossing a space. So he enters at one point and he exits from another, and there is no overlap that he's moving back to a common space. So we try to ensure that it goes in a smooth process. And because as I've mentioned that we are so detailed in our conversations that every customer on an average spends about an hour and a half at our site. So that's our average, hour and a half. It's gone even into 2-3 hours where we've had the customer come in the morning, then eventually he's called his wife, then he's called his brother, and then he's spent the entire day with us and booked on the very same day because he's gone through the entire journey in one day. So that's definitely, it becomes a big challenge. And what we try to do is that we have enough staffing, obviously, on the weekends, but we sort of supplement it with, in terms of, sometimes it's very important even for younger marketing professionals who are in your team to be on the sales floor so that they understand who that customer is. So it's a great learning experience for them. They learn exactly what's happening on the shop floor. There are so many management interns who are wanting to shadow a salesperson to understand. So that customer, if he sort of is waiting for too long, he's going to get irritated, he's going to get upset. So you have to keep him entertained all throughout and keep him busy. So it's a Herculean challenge, but it has to be looked into very closely. Whether when he comes in, immediately he's offered something to drink. Depending on the season, if it's hot, you give him something cold. It's cold, it's outside, you give him something hot. Ensuring that he's well taken care of, fed, that when it comes to the product experience stage, he's just thinking about the product itself. He's completely focused on your product. So that's a journey which is looked at constantly. And I think it ends at the end. There are enough of those, like barcodes and QR codes which are there, where we're encouraging people to give us their feedback. And we constantly are, in fact, at the end of every weekend, like Monday, Tuesday, we're constantly trying to see that, was there any positive feedback? Was there any learning? Was there any negative feedback? Was there any issue? And we're trying to constantly rewatch that exactly what happened on the floor. So, it's very critical that customer, if he's not happy, he's not going to come back, And the cost of getting one guy to your sales office is phenomenal. So you can't afford to have somebody feel, unappreciated or feel underchanged. And you can't have that guy go back feeling that he was not important to us.
No, I agree, because the customer experience in the end, as a customer, like I have also seen, I have visited some 7 projects in Thane. The other time I visited with my parents because they were looking for projects. I like, let's do it in weekend only. And I could see the experience, like how Satanik also said, in the end, as a customer, what I would say कि ये project तो वो builder भी दे रहा है, plus minus सब same है, 80%. This 20% of my visit is the deal where it will be closed. And that's how I think what we also did, like how I took my parents on a weekend and 6 projects we saw. I think only the 2 brand people were actually making sure we see everything, and all the rest of us made us wait like 15-20 minutes, and it was not a good experience. And that's where it gave us a time to even see the plus minus of this place. Like, why do we need to sit here and wait for this? I'd rather go to that project. And that's how any customer, that also gave me an understanding, any customer could feel like that.
Correct.
Because you can't expect me to come in weekday by saying, and even there are salespeople who says, कि आज rush है, ma'am, आप weekday में आने की कोशिश करो. I'm a potential buyer. I'll come on my time. So that's why I realized the communication on this particular, especially on a weekend, you cannot have excuses. You need to have a control over the crowd, the damage control, knowing who is coming, because we won't come across maybe as a potential buyer, but that's your job to make sure that we are there around to make sure to see your project. So hence what I feel customer experience is really important. So we have spoken about customer experience. Let's talk about ROI, return on investment, when it comes to marketing in real estate. What kind of metrics do you prioritize to see this particular campaign of that project has gone successful or not? And what are the key points for you to understand that this campaign had created some kind of maybe impact or not?
Right. So there are 2-3 shades of campaign. I would say every campaign right now, it is not just one dimensional, right? So there will be a digital angle, there will be one traditional angle if I talk about the marketing piece of it, and there is another one which is more like indirect effect, right, where you cannot directly measure the ROI for that matter. So if I talk about digital angle, every penny is answered. So that's the beauty of a digital campaign, right? So even if you do it for a brand building or an audience building kind of campaign digitally, you know that gonna be paying off while you are pushing your the lead generation campaign or performance bit through this audience. So overall piece, what we generally measure ourselves is while budgeting, right? So that's the budgeting piece. What we do typically 3.5% overall. It will deliver us the result which we need from marketing piece, right? Rest of it could be driven by the channel partners or maybe the pre-sales piece overall. Now digitally, if I'm talking about, my ROI should be between 1 to 1.5%. I'm talking about cost of sales, right? So that's how it should be. The media plan should be chalked out accordingly. You bifurcate platforms. Typically, if you see, real estate is meta driven / Google driven, performance marketing bit. But there are a lot of other platforms are also contributing towards these days, right? So there could be native platforms, right? There are affiliates. There are some distributors who are contributing towards your lead generation piece. But come what may, you do your media plan, it should stick to around 1 to 1.5% cost of sales digitally. But when it comes to, let's say, print, ATL and all those parts, what we typically do, let's say 50% of that 3.5%, we allocate and attribute towards that. How do I measure it? Can I predict that so many number of calls I'm going to get from TOI ad? No, I cannot. Can I predict that I've taken, let's say, 20 sites across the cities? Those sites will give me so many number of calls or so many number of website visits? No, those are little unpredictable till today. How we gauge it is that 50% of my attribution, if they are contributing overall and confining my overall cost of sales below 2%, I'm sorted. So that's how we typically look at it. Again, this depends on the asset class which you are selling, right? If it's a luxury segment, this matrix might go a percentage here and there. If it's affordable, it goes higher because your audience pool is that much high. True. Right? So the second part is what you was mentioning in earlier as well, the CAC, like customer acquisition cost, right? Customer acquisition cost is also very, very different as far as asset classes are concerned. Can you target, if you're selling a 10 crore product, can you target with a simple meta campaign with those customers? Can you engage with those customers? Maybe no. Can you engage with a very, very sorted, sharp shot LinkedIn campaign? Maybe yes. But is this the only way to connect with this audience? No. Probably you need to have a very defined, very, very different kind of strategy altogether. But as far as the overall concept or perception goes, if my cost of media is below 2%, I see it as a successful campaign as far as my product classes are concerned. This 2% is bifurcated in different platforms / media. That's how I measure.
So ROI is an everyday process. It's an every week process where you're constantly monitoring that, right at the basic stage of what is my cost per lead. But, to be honest, that cost per lead does not matter in the larger scheme of things. It just gives you an idea that how much competition is there to, finally bring that lead into your bucket. Since digital has come, the game is completely changed. Every single penny, as he rightly said, is measured. But and therefore there is a lot of movement which is happening where everyone is going ahead and just wanting to focus all your efforts, energies, and most importantly monies on digital. But that's where I would like to say that we've realized that if you just run a digital campaign and don't spend on other things, it doesn't work. Yeah, suddenly your cost per lead will also shoot up and you're not even getting good quality. So you have to sort of complement it with other things, with integrated marketing communication, with 360-degree, viewership in that sense. So we've sort of realized that it's basically, at least when a consumer or someone who's wanting to at least even inquire about you has seen you in 2 or 3 places. Yeah. He's seen you online, he's maybe spotted a hoarding, he's maybe gone to a cinema and seen your ad out there on screen or off screen or something, and then he's been like, okay, let me just inquire about this. Because there's so much clutter now, there's so much mass marketing all over the place that you need to sort of reach out to that guy 2-3 times to sort of register and say, okay, let me inquire about it. So at that broader level, it's sort of, we are saying that what is your, what's your cost per walk-in? And then eventually what's, as he rightly said, cost per closure. So, and then you're seeing that a cost per closure per medium versus what is the cost per closure versus another medium. For example, if it's just as simple as digital versus channel partner, are you paying your channel partner more, or your digital campaign itself is costing you more than what you're paying a channel partner? And there is no way that you can say that, okay, if one is working and the second is a little more expensive, you can switch one off. It can't work. You have to sort of do everything, but you have to keep optimizing each one item and to ensure that your costs is within that threshold that you're creating, whether it is a 3% or a 4% or a 2.5%. But it's very critical, and it's over a period of a month or two when you can sort of realize that my cost per acquisition overall was lesser and I was able to sell larger volumes, or I was at least able to drive in more number of people to site. And then eventually I know that it's all a percentage game. We've realized that the percentage of closure is always a 4 to 6, 7%, 8% of walk-ins. So if you're able to drive in as many good walk-ins, you're automatically going to conclude.
Okay.
And the second part is from the channel partners' perspective. If you see, they also wait for the developers to start the campaign.
Absolutely right.
It is. So
that's the first feedback that comes, that hey, y'all are not present.
Correct. Yeah. So they will also wait for the hoardings to be up. They also will wait to see the first newspaper ad. They will also see your landing page going up, and then only they will start their campaign. So channel partners typically have two ways of generating leads, right? One will be their own database, which today's date, I won't say it is much effective, right? They also rely on the fresh campaign, which they generally take it up. Now, it is also our prerogative to chase those, that how many websites or how many landing pages, how many macro sites have gone live from channel partners' perspective, right? Yes, and what they're putting up, that also comes. So channel partner, whatever percentage we are paying in, this 50% what I talked about, we attribute to the mass media, also is a derivative support to the channel partners or somebody else who's seeing and spotting us and trying to say that, okay, let me also try and generate certain leads for this particular project. So it's a kind of an indirect part. There is no black and white way to measure these piece, but yes, somewhere it helps us to keep our overall cost within that 2-3%.
It's in fact very important that we've seen a lot of times also that first maybe the customer is seeing your product online, maybe dropping a lead, but eventually coming and buying through a channel partner. Now there has to be some sort of an understanding that why did he do that, and we try to on a case by case basis. It doesn't happen often, but when it does happen, then you want to sort of understand that what happened in this journey and why did he do a certain thing. Where did he drop his lead? When was it dropped? When did he walk in with a channel partner, and when did he close ultimately? So it's about seeing, the initial lead versus the final closure. How did it happen? The entire journey.
Okay. So gone are the days where real estate developers used to put a lot of hoardings, just a competition between each other, but putting a lot of hoardings just to showcase their brand. But now what I've noticed in festivals, there's bombardment of ads in the newspaper, bombardment of hoardings on their kind of gold prizes, what all goes with the advertising of the brand. Does this really help? And now the question also comes to, there are two asset classes, as you rightly said, affordable housing and also for premium. But for both ways I've noticed during festivals, both kind of brands are making sure that festival ads are like on the face continuous. Does it really help?
Personally, I generally like to stay away from the clutter, to be very honest. If it's an Independence Day campaign or Republic Day campaign or Ganesha or Dussehra. Diwali is coming. So the one thing the Diwali is 2 months away, I can say that there will be some 10-gram gold offer for at least 50 developers in the country. So if not more. So it works to some extent. But if you want to be just another developer and if you are trying to push during that particular season itself, might work, but I am not in for that particular game personally. Maybe at the site level, what happens in reality, what we have seen, people get some free time to roam around and see. Maybe one of the developers is creating a lot of a lot of hype about their campaign, right? With one of these kind of offers. But with that craze, they start looking around with the projects, right?
Yep.
So at the site level, as a closing tool, not as a sourcing tool, right? So if a closing tool, you can actually, add some value. What the customer will do with the 10-gram gold? So reality is, end of the day, they will demand for a discount, equivalent amount, right? 10-gram gold maybe today 76,000 rupees. Can you discount me 76,000 rupees instead? We can play that game as well as a closing tool, right? Or maybe it's a nearing possession part. I can say that, okay, you get all the electricals free of cost from our end. So those are mainly closing tools. But on the face campaign, at times it worked, but as a marketer, I would like to shy away from that.
But tell me, as a Shriram marketing head, when this Dhanteras and Diwali is around the corner, how is your marketing strategy around it then?
So there are two parts of it. One is piggy riding on the wave, right? So that is something which is going on. Few projects which we definitely want to push off, the clearance sale kind of piece.
Those will be like affordable ones.
Depends. That last few units are left, or probably I have some stuck inventory in some of the projects. I know that for a fact I might not have enough and more demand in that particular micro market, and that's the reason the velocity of the sale is little down. I want to push it. Where I really need to push it, only those projects I would probably piggy ride on these kind of campaigns. Other projects I do not want to dilute. If I dilute to that extent, tomorrow when Dhanteras is over, I again have to rely on Christmas. When Christmas is over, again I have to rely on New Year. Once New Year is over, Valentine's Day, then there is no end to it. Right?
So there's a strategic thinking behind this.
And this is product specific strategy. This is not really season specific. Season is I would say it's a medium for me to create my communication, right? What people are consuming that point of time. We did something for the cricket campaign as well when the cricket was there. So it's kind of moment marketing, but the moment has become a trend right now. So that's how it is.
Do you agree with this?
I agree with him strongly, and I was in fact just in my head just thinking how surprising that Bombay and Bangalore is so far apart, but we are exactly doing the exact same things. I believe that when your neighbor is making noise, that's the best time to switch off your campaign, because he's anyways going to drive in so many walk-ins. Those guys who are going to come to your neighbor is definitely going to come to you and have a look. And we've done that in the past, and it's worked also. So that's the time when you should save your energy, save your money, and relax, because he's definitely going to do all the heavy lifting, as long as you're near about each other, obviously. But at the same time, what's happened is, if you just back up a little bit, you'll sort of realize that there are certain seasons when people go out to buy homes. Monsoon is not the season. People generally don't get out of home because it's raining, and the weekends sometimes get washed out. So there are lesser walk-ins at site. Now what's going to come is Ganpati. There are Ganpati people will want to sort of, maybe towards the second half of Ganpati, people will want to buy things which they have sort of let go. The months of Pitru Paksh, they will not buy anything. The months of Shravan, they will not buy anything. So there are certain seasons which people are looking to do something auspicious. Navratri is an auspicious period. Dhanteras and Diwali are auspicious periods, followed by towards the end of the year when in general euphoria is high, whether it is a Christmas or New Year's. So unfortunately, it is a cycle which exists. Eventually, when you move to the new year, it is when you get closer to the March ending, that's when people want to do the capital gains purchases. So unfortunately, that cycle exists and you can't break it. But as he rightly said, you just have some amount of visibility and use these tools as just closing tools at site. That okay, I can give you this offer. Maybe it's a gold coin offer for that matter, and then people are always wanting to discount that. Or I'm giving you fully air-conditioned homes, and people will want to discount that also. So it's about just having some amount of visibility at that time, and you don't have to try and outgun your competition in that sense.
And in India, it's still an emotional decision today, right? It's a home buying is an emotional decision, and if you can probably utilize the higher segment or the positive segment of the emotions when it's naturally high.
Correct.
So it works, right? So you're in a good mood, you're in a vacation period, Your mind is free. You're not bothered about what's happening in the office. There is no project rollout and things like that. You tend to make your decision faster, right? And if I can help my buyer with something that, okay, I'm the fence sitter. I am probably waiting for that price slash of 1 lakh rupees. Can I supplement with 15 gram gold? So that's how we come into picture, just to help, or probably give it a little nudge that, hey, you're waiting for 1 lakh rupees, here it is, can you go ahead? So that's how it works. Again, supplement to the emotional high what they go through within this season period.
Yeah, but as he also said that discounting is a dangerous game. If you play that game once, you'll have to keep playing it. So definitely you can't just rely on discounting, because you can't be running an online shopping portal where you're constantly giving discounts every single weekend and trying to get in the sales, because the minute you stop that, then there'll be some sort of a drop. You can't do that.
Otherwise, it'll be add to cart and then wait for that one big billion day to come in.
Correct.
So that's how it is.
So as you rightly said, there are strategies behind this festival during marketing time also. But tell me, I've noticed in real estate marketing, there's been a pattern. And the pattern is about, I've mentioned it in my previous podcast also, Shark Tank की वजह से अब जनता को समझ में आया है कि what is SQ, what is unit economics, and all those terms, right? Performance marketing बहुत time से हो रही थी in e-commerce business, but when it comes to real estate, it came very late. Because I think, and a lot of people have accepted in podcasts also, they were waiting for the other guy to do it, the other brand to do it. If he is successful, let us do it. So is it similar when it comes to this festival में जो इतना हम marketing देखते हैं, advertisement देखते हैं, is it because the other guy is doing it or other brand is doing it, let's be part of it so that our name or our face is there? Is that the notion?
To some extent, I won't deny that fact. So there is always a Me Too factor in real estate. You always wanted to be that part of that consideration set. So jo dikhta hai wo bikta hai kind of jo mindset is very strong in real estate, right? So it's a crowded domain, be it any city, any real estate happening city, I would say it's a crowded domain. If 4 out of 5 guys are doing it and 5th guy is lost, is not there, customers are also seeing that why they are not doing it or why they are not up there, right? They are visiting and they're saying that, okay, everybody is doing that print ad, everybody is, offering something, why you are not offering something? So that kind of questions have also come in.
From customers.
From customers. So see, end of the day, customers want that value from the developer, right? Value in terms of discount, value in terms of something additional. They will negotiate to the T, and after that also, और क्या मतलब मिल सकता है मेरे को. So there are different modes, right? Somebody is offering a 0 PLC, 0 FRC kind of part. Somebody is doing clubhouse free. Somebody is doing gold coin. Somebody is doing, there are a lot of other factors. After everything, if you're not offering something else, is where the question comes while the others are doing it. So I won't deny that fact, that Me Too factor comes into picture, so that you are there again amongst the consideration set of your buyer segment. But as I said earlier, that this also depends on what product you are selling. Can you do it with a new launch product? No, definitely no. Then you're killing your product right there. Can you do it with your product which is like 3 years running and probably to the fag end of your selling cycle? Yes, you can probably do it to make the mobility a bit more. The velocity of the sales might pick up if your offer is lucrative and as per the customer's need, not as per the marketer's need.
Yeah.
So there's a different angle altogether. As a marketer, we can think a lot of things from the desktop angle. But the moment I come to the consumer perspective, what they need, if that is not in sync with what I'm thinking, then whatever you offer, it's not going to fly.
So do you agree with this, that there isn't a FOMO thing or FOMO syndrome? That's why people are not like making sure that mera advertisement to aana chahiye Diwali Dhanteras mein. Is it not because of the FOMO moment? No one wants to miss that chance, my face to be there, my brand to be there, or how?
So, when it comes to festive advertising, media is very, 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 very expensive. And you can't justify spending 2 times for one ad, which you would normally get at half the price, obviously. And That's why you have to be very, very, very conscious in terms of how much you're doing, because there are brands. It's not a race. Everyone needs to understand that it's not a race. That if that guy is doing 2 jackets or 3 jackets, or he's got 5 hoardings in your vicinity, you can't try and outbeat him. It's not. That's not the point, of this race. All you just need to do is that you are there in some amount in the consideration set. So little bit of visibility, just to ensure that yaar pata hai ki yahan pe this particular project is there. That should be sufficient, because ultimately when you're going to be doing your ROI, it's not going to justify the spends that you're doing. So, and when it comes to offers should be just used as a closing tool at site. So that is not something that you would want to put up on a hoarding or a digital ad saying that, hey, I'm doing a gold coin offer or something. And it's always it's always a challenge for every developer that, hey, if somebody else is doing it, maybe I will not do the same thing. But at some point of time, everyone has said, Chalna, let's give it a try. Let's see what happens. Let's do one campaign and see that does it even work. Then at least I am satisfied that, okay, I tried it didn't work, I'll not do it.
तो FOMO रहता है ना?
थोड़ा FOMO रहता है, or more like in terms of curiosity, that at least let's try it once, and then you just to see what the hype is all about.
I'll talk about one incident. This festive season actually reminds me, a couple of years back, so we were launching a plotted development in Bangalore, little outskirts of Bangalore, very lucratively priced, I would say, very low entry product. And during Ganesha, we planned this particular launch. And me, being me, I told that let's not do it during that weekend where everybody gonna be launching. So we missed that particular weekend consciously. The next weekend, we were supposed to give the print ad for the launch. This was planned. What was the miss is that was next day to Ganpati. Okay. Publication wise, there is no publication day. So that was a miss from the planning side, that okay, next day you don't have any publication coming in.
Correct.
And launch and everything was planned for that particular weekend, all the ascertainment, everything was done. So figured out that we can't publish an ad. What we can do is we took an initiative. So again, we did a little bit of psychological understanding of the newspaper readers, right? Who are habituated of reading something early in the morning.
Correct.
They will have that FOMO on that particular day. Arey, aaj to kuch nahi hai, chai ke saath main kya karu? So that kind of piece. So what we thought, we introduced Shriram Times. What we did, we actually curated certain articles about that micro market, the development infrastructure. It was more like an editorial / infomercial. And then at the back page, we created our launch ad. So it was a 6 to 8 pages kind of newspaper, exactly printed the way any other dailies will print. And we circulated almost some 3 to 4 lakh copies, within our own network, and on that same day.
That's
Very
quite
smart.
On the same day. And you won't believe, 2 weekends we sold that off, 300 units of plots. 2 weekends we sold that off, and we got maximum number of calls from that day. That Shriram Times was one of the initiatives which we had taken a couple of years back, and this was one of the miss plus innovation. So what we did, it was a nice.
But I'm
one.
curious to know, and yes, if real estate move, where did this subvention scheme come from? Like how the idea was behind it, and we are still running, and I've seen it more in the Mumbai market. I'm not sure.
It's there in Bangalore market.
It's in
Southern
Bangalore
market.
market.
Back now. Subvention is back now.
Yeah, how come it's back? Is it because there's more of demand and less of supply, or like how the subvention scheme is now back?
I don't think it is to do with supply and demand. It is about the ease of buying, or what I can shell out right now from my pocket as my EMIs.
But
right?
you don't agree that there's maybe the reason is because the inventory are there a lot and there's no much demand to it?
No, I don't believe in this particular piece, because there are pockets, especially in Bangalore market, where the demand is more, supply is less. For example, Sarjapur is another IT belt. It's very close to Electronic City.
Correct.
You don't have any supply, the proper supply ready to move in, to forget about it. अभी जो new launch हो रहा है, उसके लिए भी people are going and buying like crazy. So subvention is more to add to the ease of buying. Though there is a cost to it, we all know there is a cost to it.
Yeah.
So there's a very differentiated cost between CLPP buy and subvention buy, right?
Yeah.
What the customers are seeing, that tomorrow my salary will increase, or probably after 2 years, my salary will increase by nothing less than 20%. 10%, 10%, 20% it will increase. that point of time I'll be able to bear my EMI. But right now with the rent, with the EMI, it might be a pinch in my pocket. So can I not go ahead with this? So it's more like few months holidays, payment holidays with the subvention where developers are reimbursing that particular EMI and things like that. So
Okay.
So true. So also subvention also comes into play when people are wanting to sell their existing home to buy that new home. And now say for example, properties as of today in this market that we are today, ready to move in property, there are very few, if not any, there's not very few which are available. Then you have to rely on the resale market and you never know that what is the price that you're getting at. So people are wanting to block that sale today. So subvention now, how it works is obviously it comes at a cost, but there is opportunity cost to the money. You are obviously locking in your price today, which is, your cost is more or less, you can say, close to home loan rate. But that money, even if you have it with you today, at least you can put it into the markets, which are doing phenomenal right now. So I have seen cases where people are wanting to take a subvention because they do not want to pay EMIs while pre-EMIs, let's put it this way, they don't want to pay the pre-EMIs and they want to use that money for something else. So it's like sort of blocking tomorrow's unit today, blocking tomorrow's price today at a certain cost, but also keeping tomorrow's money with me in my hand today so that I can use it for something else. And then ultimately when we are sort of reaching the stage where the home is to be handed over and then the subvention ends and it starts my EMI, I have sold my existing home, I have taken that money, paid off my EMI, paid off my home loan or whatever it is, or minimized it as much as possible. And in that meantime, whatever money I had and I used it in the market and hopefully market has done well, I've made money on the borrowed money.
Okay. So tell me, we all have agreed that customer ke liye real estate is an emotional purchase, right? Is emotional purchase ke liye, I want to understand how marketing thought go behind it, in the sense where the personalization of messaging can be done in a deeper level by knowing the person or customer preference or the emotions in your marketing strategies.
So what we try to see that how a customer gonna spend his or her life within this particular project. That's the first thought comes into picture once it is done, delivered, right? So I'm anticipating that this is the buyer segment gonna come and buy. So what could be the family configuration? Let's say if I'm talking about, let's say Shriram kind of portfolio, mid-market portfolio, it could be a young family with a young kid or couple of young kids maybe. Both parents are working. That kind of composition, let's take for an example. How they gonna spend their life, or maybe the father is working from home, mother is going to office, or vice versa, or something of that sort. If I talk about IT crowd, they will be more tech savvy. They will be, let's say today's passion is vlogging, right? Can I do a campaign with a father and daughter vlogging in a kitchen, making food together? So initially what we think that who your customer will be, what could be their behavior, and what do they like to do or aspire to do, right? How do they see themselves? And if you do this kind of thinking and put your campaigns accordingly, immediately you connect with them emotionally. Second part is being a working woman. What do you seek apart from your work life, right? So you seek a proper healthy balance, right? So that health is very, very important. I do not try to stereotypical, or probably stereotype any particular lifestyle for that matter, right? That beyond work, there is only kitchen. No. So beyond kitchen, you also have your life. Can you socialize with your own girl gang in your community? Probably have a barbecue, over there. So I have a barbecue pit inside the community, or probably you have a meditation deck where you can have your meditation practice over there. So you hit and touch upon those chords where you make it more emotionally driven, selling your amenities in a very, very different way, connecting to the lifestyle which your buyers would like to aspire. So that's how we generally think.
Okay.
So I think that marketing your project basis of the amenities is definitely here to stay for a while. Earlier I had mentioned that there is a complex today is not just a housing complex, it's a hospitality project, and people want everything within that complex. They want that coffee shop also, which is something that we are going ahead, and we are making coffee shops within housing complex, which was never thought of earlier. To your sports amenities. So there's a healthy mix of indoor and outdoor amenities. So if it's indoors, there's badminton. So your months when it's too hot outside, or it's raining outside, you're using the indoor amenities. There's squash, there's badminton and the indoor games room versus the outdoor activities, which are your multi-purpose courts and swimming pools and all of that. So marketing in terms of amenities is here to stay, and it's very important that, as he rightly said, that you need to sort of have something for everybody, all age groups. You need to sort of cater to. So whether it is for the senior citizens, which there are a good number of senior citizens in Mumbai, so you want to give them a nice senior citizen corner where they can feel safe and they can socialize, and there's no disturbance of kids running around them, or there no cars moving by. To at the same time, when there are young parents and they are wanting to allow their child to go down, whether it is accompanied by somebody or unaccompanied, they are in spaces which are secured in terms of there's nobody from outside, no outsiders coming in that particular space, or vehicle movements or anything which is unsafe in that area. So it's about creating spaces for everybody in that housing complex to ensure that everyone has something else to do, something out there to do, and sort of in metro cities, especially like Bombay and Mumbai and Bangalore, in fact, what happens is that the time taken to commute from one place to the other is so much that you sort of decide, chalna, it's not worth it. Let's not go swimming because we'll have to drive 30 minutes to get there and then again 30 minutes to come back. So when you're able to provide amenities which are sensible and usable, most importantly, and I'll stop right there and say that I have been to projects which I was very excited to see, because I said, oh wow, they have so many amenities on paper, and I went there and I'm like, why? It's just, these are just amenities to just checkbox amenities, so that is something that should not do. Give good amenities, give sizable amenities, very important, and give something which everyone will use on a daily basis.
And just to say, so amenity marketing is a trend in real estate, right? So how many number of amenities you are giving, that becomes the talking point of the newspaper headline, right? So I've seen advertisements where they list down all the 100 amenities in one of the pages, right? Swimming pool is an amenity, staircase to swimming pool is another amenity. So that's how, if you can say that 200 plus amenities altogether. What we have done in Shriram, we have something called brand ethos. We call it 4S, right? So where the entire piece of it has been taken care of. So all the 4S's are sensible, sensitive, stylish, and spirited. So these 4S's, how do we take care that sensibly priced? All our products are not very highly priced, it's sensibly priced. And we can definitely say that you will not get that kind of sensible pricing in any of the competition for sure. Stylishly designed is again caters to another segment of your buyers segment, right? So who look for that style quotient in their project, right? Then you have another part is spirited. Spirited is the way we conduct. Spirited is the way we talk to our customers. Spirited is the way we definitely take care of entire piece of it. And last but not the least is the sensitive to our customers' needs, to all segments, right? We have probably a ramp for the wheelchair, which will take care of the senior citizens. We have a spacious lift, which will take care of a stretcher, for that matter, right? So you have senior citizen parks, you have pet parks, for that matter. We try to be inclusive of all age group, and that's how we try to emotionally connect with all the segments of the buyers, whoever is coming for. There is something for everyone. So that's the whole motto we keep as a company as well.
No, that's great, because as I always say, customer is now intelligent. You can't fool them by saying 200 amenities aapko milega is building mein, even if it's a small house, because we all know in this today's time, we are so busy in traveling, in office, you're not going to make use of those amenities. So I really want to understand, now we have discussed all the aspects of marketing. To get more in depth, I will give a scenario so that our audience can understand how do you market with that kind of product. So for example, I'll start with you. So if you have a product in Koramangala, it is between 1200 to 2000 square feet and you're selling maybe around 2.5 to 4 CR or 3 CR, I don't know, Bengaluru ka. I'm already in shock that 2 CR you're counting as a premium because यहाँ का scene तो अलग ही है मुंबई का. So how do you market that? How do you come up with a hoarding idea? How do you come up with the digital campaign? In the sense कि कोरमंगला के ही पूरे रेडियस में आप देखोगे कि कहाँ मेरा पॉइंट है, I have to market, or you have certain areas where you know that crowd staying there would like to come here. So what is the, I would try to understand, how do you process that step of marketing?
So this has become a real life scenario for me. We do have a project in Koramangala, which is of the similar configuration and similar price bracket.
Okay.
We just sold out that project. Hardly a couple of units are left. So what we did over there, it is first of all the design of the project. It starts from there, that how it should look depending on which market you are doing it, right? So a Thane project cannot look similar to a Bandra project. Is just the analogy if I can draw, right? So Koramangala being a little bit more premium, micro market, what we need to do, the facade, starting from the facade to the interior, to the clubhouse, to the ramp, the lobby, everything should look plush, right? Then only you can, I would say, catch attention of that kind of buyer set. That is number one. How do we market it? Is market the same thing. You understand what buyers are looking at in this particular segment, in this particular micro market, what they lack. So if you can play on that particular lacuna, I think you are already sold, because demand is there. Supply is not that much because that's a crowded micro market and very scarcity of premium projects for that matter. It's not like a mass area where you can expand and can do project after project, right? So if you can figure out the USPs which your buyers would prefer and they do not have in the immediate vicinity of the supply, then you have got their attention. How we have done it, it's more a lifestyle driven marketing, plus a product angle to it. So product angle comes as your hero and you circle a lifestyle around it. Okay, and that's how you probably market this particular product. The second part is who you're targeting. It cannot be a mass campaign, right? So it's a niche product. You have to catch hold of that niche buyer, altogether. Can you not go do a very, very sharp shooting kind of campaign for these buyer set? You know who's gonna buy. It's a segment, or rather a very close subset of your overall base. Can you not go to them? Can you not talk to them? Can you not have a closed door kind of presentation over there? Can you not catch hold of any of the wealth managers for that matter? You don't require a mass campaign to a very large extent. Of course, launch campaign demands that. That will talk to you about the product, about the lifestyle. But to sell it, ultimately, people will respond after seeing your hoarding or your newspaper ad, but they will not be coming as a direct walk-in ki jaldi aake. Well, that segment will not behave that way. So 20 to 30% will come directly, but for the rest 60-70%, can you not catch hold of the wealth managers? Can you not catch hold of very influential investors or HNIs for that matter? Can you not go to the clubs for that matter? Where in Bangalore you have Bangalore Club, you have Koramangala Club, you have Sadashiv Nagar Club, where you know that 100% of your janta will be your buyer. Can you not cull out a portion out of it and probably discuss that what you want out of here? We have this offerings. Do you think it is right for you? So that is another way of marketing that particular product. But as you asked that what will go on a hoarding, it's purely product and lifestyle angle. So lifestyle
not
is
necessary. It will go on hoarding if you have such niche. So how do you go about it? Do you just completely focus on digital then and focus on this wealth managers clientele? Like how do you?
Complete digital will never work. Though it's one of the major contributors today, but complete digital focus have not worked in real estate so far as whatever segment it is. It needs to be complemented with some other approach for sure. So hoarding is required. So
Then how do you decide the area?
So area is, again, there are 3 areas where you can catch hold of your buyers, irrespective of your asset class. Where do they stay? Where do they work? Where do they go for their leisure and entertainment? There is no 4th place where you can go and catch hold of your buyers. If you're sorted with these 3 places, you're done.
So if Core Bangla is the project, how do you sort those 3 areas?
So Koramangala, if my project is situated in Koramangala, you'll know that 10 kilometers radius your buyers will stay predominantly. Where do they go for work? Either Electronic City or CBD area, right? Or Koramangala also has a good office base for that matter. If you cover these 2-3 areas well, and leisure and entertainment, again, as I said, clubs, they will go for the club, they will go for some good, let's say UB City is one of the malls where they can go and shop, right?
Yeah.
So where you have high-end brands and all those things. So if you can go and tap these 2-3 segments, you get your 100% buyers.
Okay.
So that's how it is. So these 3 places is my mantra, be it any project, you get hold of your buyers, 100% of your buyers in this segment. Like you cannot go to a hospital and catch hold of your buyers.
Then
the
how
4th
would you
segment.
allocate your budget? Like if someone wants to understand overall, like you said, digital sirf nahi ho sakta. So when it comes to such niche product, when it comes to digital hoarding and other mediums, how do you allocate for this kind of project?
So again, 3 parts I can bifurcate overall. One will be digital, one will be your mass media, that is traditional part, and third will be BTL. BTL is where I'm going and meeting the customers, right? So be it in the clubs, be it in their offices, be it that wealth manager kind of closed door presentations or things like that. Here I would say around 20 to 30% budget should go for digital to be there, right? Again, digital, not a plain vanilla Meta Google campaign. Of course, search is important. You need to build on the brand keywords, you need to build on the product keywords, you need to build on the micro market based, configuration based keywords. That's for sure. That is important. But if you go to LinkedIn, target the CXOs of the companies which you think might gonna buy. Number 2, money control or maybe the news portals, where I know ET.com, TOI.com, where I know my buyers will be going and searching for their relevant news. Can you not place your ads over there? Right? That's the digital strategy. The second part is hoardings. All the entry and exit points from all these offices, if you can cover. So hoardings and print, maybe this can cover somewhere around 30%, another 30% of your budget. Rest 30 to 40% should be your BTL.
BTL, okay.
Where it is more or less one-to-one interaction, or probably a focus group presentation, or you have like-minded people coming in. Referral plays a very important role in these particular projects, right? So I would like to stay with a like-minded people if I'm a buyer over there. I can be picky about my neighbor as well, right? So if I'm spending a good luxury project, I would refer to my friend. So referral also has given us good results in this particular project for sure.
Okay. So if you have a project in Goregaon, okay, and the size, let's say 1200, and the money budget is around maybe 3 to 5 CR, because that's where we play at in that number and that location. First of all, how do you segment this project? Because this is not premium, right? It's going to be counted as maybe, I think, affordable, right? Affordable market mein aayega. How do you...
A little one level above affordable, I would say. One level above, just about.
Some builder had told me 1 se 2 crore is always affordable when it comes to real estate in Mumbai. But yes, chalo, let's go with that. How would you decide your TAM? How would you decide your go-to-market strategy for this particular project, and how would you allocate the budget?
So we have a project which is going to come up in Goregaon. We have a project which is going to have similar sizes. And it'll be there in the pipeline soon, so it'll come maybe in a few months. But when it comes to any project, there has to be at the end of it, there are some things which are there in every project. There are certain set of amenities, there are certain types of design that you'll do for the project, certain size of apartments. And there are a lot of things which will be very similar to what your neighbor or anybody else is doing. But you have to be able to differentiate this project, and you sort of, that's when sensible theming of a project comes in play. You need to sort of understand that what is that audience drawn to, whether it is he drawn to the peace that he's getting by staying in that particular location in Goregaon. Is that a quiet neighborhood? So you're sort of basically saying that, hey, Goregaon is a hub of a lot of things, a lot of entertainment, a lot of shopping, retail, everything is there in Goregaon. But this one is located in a quiet lane, and you are, it's the ideal life, right? That when you want everything else, you're just a lane away from everything else. But at the same time, when you go home, you're in your own serene environment where there's nothing else. And say, for example, if I'm just saying hypothetically that Goregaon does border a huge mangrove reserve which is right there. So if this happens to by chance be neighboring that, then you're sort of saying that there is a lifetime of green spaces which are right there. Okay, you can't visit those spaces, but there's a huge green lung which is right beside you. So isn't it the ideal life where you're probably you can go walking to work or go cycling to work, because if you're working at Mindspace, for example, your entertainment needs are taken care of because there are two huge malls which are right there. There's Inorbit, there's Infinity 2 right there. And sort of in terms of now connectivity wise, Metro and Coastal Road extension both are right there. So Metro is already active and Coastal Road is also right there. So that's the ideal life, right? That where you have your own peace, at the same time you have everything else also. So you don't have to pick and choose between one or the other. So yes, so the audience does not have to pick and choose between one or two. Now in terms of the communication, so when you're talking about the different types of communication, there has to be a healthy mix of online as well as offline. There's no denying that if you just run a digital campaign, it'll work. It's always the case that you need to complement everything, and that's when possibly where you can sort of look at geo-targeting. When you're running a digital campaign, you're sort of geo-targeting a mind space. If you think your customer is sort of moving into your property because it's close to work, so you're sort of geo-targeting mind space, so that when he's sort of surfing online, when he's got some free time, he's thinking about you. Or else you're sort of geo-targeting a particular I would say I would not geo-target a mall because it attracts crazy amount of people from all possible places. So that's a huge wastage of resources. There's also a lot of content creation that can be created around this life that you're going to have out there. So if you're able to sort of create enough reels, I would say, and show to this guy that my life is going to be this and how comfortable or convenient it's going to be, people are responding like much more these days to content which is created online. What we've realized, and especially in Mumbai, I would say, when you're talking about TAM, is that people sort of migrate within a radius of about 2 to 3 kilometers. And I've realized that it's always that you are sort of born and brought up in a certain vicinity. If you're a Mumbaikar, that is, I'm not saying that you're coming from another city, but it's sort of like the 2, 3, maybe at max 5 kilometer radius where you sort of know everything in that vicinity and that locality. So you're always wanting to move from here to maybe a kilometer away where the lifestyle is a little better. So if I'm born and brought up in South Bombay, I would say at max maybe look at a Lower Parel where there are newer complexes which are coming up with newer amenities. And I know that vicinity and it's not far from my existing vicinity and I know the entire ecosystem around it. So your audience is very tightly living in that radius of about 3 to 5 kilometers at max.
So you're saying for the Goregaon project, you're not going to target Bandra. That is not your...
No, definitely not. I would not go beyond Andheri on the northern side, on the southern side. I would not go beyond Kandivali on the northern side. I would not go beyond, maybe a Goregaon East or a Andheri East or a Jogeshwari East or a Kandivali East on the eastern side.
So would you target Thane then? for this
No.
Goregaon project?
So the thing is, if you see the per square feet rate, if you have to compare between Thane and Goregaon, there's still a huge gap.
Yeah.
You could probably expect a Goregaon guy to move to Thane maybe in a few years when the tunnel comes about, which is a huge infrastructure project which is happening right now, which is your Thane-Borivali twin tunnel which is happening, or whether it is your Goregaon-Mulund tunnel which is happening. But the rates in Goregaon are still quite high compared to Thane.
Yeah.
So maybe a Mulund guy eventually you could look at, because Mulund is pretty well priced itself. But I would still say that the western guys moving to the central side is still a possibility. But central guy as of now coming to western side, I don't think will happen.
And how would you allocate your budget? Like how you define hoarding wise, where those hoardings will go, in these areas only?
You need to just have, say for example, on the link road, a little bit of visibility. You should use hoarding just for visibility. You should use a newspaper ad just for remembrance purpose. But a good amount of effort and energy and budgets need to go into digital.
For this particular project,
I would say. And some amount of ambient advertising. If you're able to get yourselves into cinema advertising, or if you're able to get into some mall advertising, or if you're able to get yourself into a metro station for that matter, those as ambient mediums do work.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to understand, content marketing is now become like a huge thing. As you rightly said, a lot of reels need to be created. So when it comes to certain projects, be affordable or premium, would you consider influencer marketing content basis on the kind of target audience you have, or you will try it nevertheless? What is the pricing of your project like to be?
See, for me, it depends that who's buying. Because the influencer, I need to see who he or she is influencing, right? It cannot be like if I'm not a follower of any of the influencers, whoever talks whatever, I will not get influenced and forget about home buying. That's a big decision to make, right? So two things to be checked. If my audience or the buyer segment fall under that cluster, I'll definitely take up influencer marketing. The second checkpoint is the cluster of influencers I'm shortlisting, right? The quality of their fan base, quality of their audiences, right? Who she's or connecting with. It is not just the number of likes or number of views of their reels. It is also that who's engaging with them, right? Accordingly, so of course, it's a part of your reach and awareness campaign, right? I'm not expecting direct ROI, that I'm not expecting leads out of those campaigns for sure. But as far as reach and awareness are concerned, am I reaching out to the right audience or not is the question which I need to answer. So there are two checkpoints, as I said, that if my audience, are they Insta friendly, Facebook friendly, Snapchat friendly customers? And if yes, then who are they? The set of influencers, are they connecting with them or not? These are the checkpoints. It is not a regular drill or a must-have drill, I would say. Good to have for a few projects.
Okay.
To add to that, in fact, I'll say that even your influencer's age is something sometimes very relevant. If they are too young, and they may have crazy number of followers in millions, I would say, but maybe your audience is not following them, they're not watching them if someone's too young. So you sort of need to understand your buyer set, understand as much as what is he looking at. Is he looking at finfluencers, whether they're looking at finfluencers or whether they're looking at lifestyle influencers or they're looking at travel bloggers, and sort of and look at those niches, that what interests this guy who's going to buy a home from me, and get those influencers. And it does honestly help in terms of getting good visibility. It's not definitely going to not lead to walk-ins. It's not going to lead to closures, but it sort of is one more touch point. It's one more awareness point which is there for that customer, that he's already seen you around and he's so much talking.
Matrix, right? Matrix in terms of even your audience is watching. For example, if that Kormangala project you have and the Goregaon project you have, as you rightly said, it can be a touch point, but that cannot be a criteria, because you would never know if your audience is a part of that influencer following or not, right? Because the matrix only that they can share, which you yourself as a brand marketing person can see in the back end, is the age group, the location, the targeting of major cities where the following is coming. That's the only way they could share the matrix with you.
So one
right?
interesting matrix to look at when you do influencer or you do any sort of content is not the views, is actually the saves and the shares. And that's what you sort of realize, that if there are a lot of people who are saving it or sharing it, and especially sharing it, that definitely means that they are wanting to come back to this content, or they know that there is somebody in this home buying journey who is probably would be interested in this. So that gives a good idea in terms of what's happening. People would probably watch a lot of that content just because they like that influencer.
Correct.
Yeah, so views will be crazy high. But how many are saving and sharing? I think these are critical metrics to look at.
But does it matter? Because why I'm saying this, because now we have seen a new trend where a lot of brokers have become the influencers in real estate,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And the way they have a signature style of talking and sharing, and because of that, the audience also, you can easily understand, there's a lot of youngsters who are in awe of the kind of the flat they are showing or the penthouse they are showing, but they're not the buyers. So, and there are a lot of saving and sharing because those youngsters are sharing with their friends. But then how do you define that? Like, how would you even consider, like, in terms of matrix, for have those broker influencers for your project? Is it just for the creation of visibility or something to talk about? Because that's what I also see from a marketing perspective. Either you want to go viral, either you want people to talk about, oh, you're selling this huge. It can be maximum people where I've seen traction is negative, right? Where the thing is, oh, itne chote ghar ko itne bade mein bech rahe, and that becomes the plug point for the brand also. Ki itna negative PR is also good PR. Is it true in real estate also?
See, I still consider this is as a maturing part of marketing. It is not matured enough where you can exactly calculate the ROI or exactly evaluate that what all metrics is to be considered, as an evaluation point. To me, it's still a reach and awareness touch point, right? So how do I evaluate or shortlist? Is one, of course, what Rishi just mentioned, that save and share. I add another filter that with a similar kind of product or services, right? If it's a high intent buy, it's not just a impulse buy kind of product. I will filter out those impulse buy products, right? So if somebody is doing something for a high-end automobile, or somebody is doing something is a high-end resort, your buyer base will be taking decisions on these particular products or services as well. If they have done some successful campaigns over there, if they can show us some matrices that yes, these are the campaigns which you have done which is relevant to your industry or relevant to your buyer base as well, probably that's where I put a tick box that yes, this influencer will work for me. At least for me to take my product out to the follower base what he or she has. Now, can I consider or can I say that my influencer campaign is a successful or not successful? Is there any metrics? No. Probably there is nothing certain as of yet. Probably it's maturing. We'll figure out.
Okay. According to you, as he also mentioned that, there's no metric, there's no way of saying that iske wajah se mujhe itni janta aayegi. But as you mentioned before also, it's a touch point. So is it important that negative publicity also is a good publicity? Henceforth, we go and approach influencers, even if people, because maximum people in Mumbai market, whatever flat you show, and because the number is huge, the pricing is huge, you will get certain kind of trolls or negativity come in. Does that not matter? And it's like the awareness to se acha bani jayegi.
So let me put it this way, that definitely channel partners who become influencers is one more source of getting the word out there, distribution, I would say. They also help in sort of reaching out to other channel partners. So because there are a huge community of channel partners who are watching these channel partners and seeing which projects they are marketing, and eventually they come and they reach out to you and they want to work with you. So I have not seen a scene where a customer has come and said that I saw so-and-so's video and come and close the deal. So that doesn't happen, but it's one more channel of distribution. Now, when it comes to the negative publicity which comes, it's always a risk which is and a worry. And I think the only way that you can mitigate it, not completely control, is, you're sort of, when you're briefing this channel partner, who's going to make this video about you guys, you're sort of giving him very clear USPs about your project and not trying to upsell and not trying to sort of, luxury is a very used and abused word, and you can't tell him to say that this is the most luxurious apartment and it is this, or what it is not, you should not say it. So you can sort of try and influence him in a way to what he has to say, but you can't control it. But definitely there may be some sort of people who may comment, but I guess the pro of having distribution versus the con of a few silly comments outweigh each other.
And do you also make sure the agents, the channel partners you are tying up with, even the channel partners or the broker influencer you are tying up for your content, are they agents registered under Maharera?
Yes, it's absolutely critical that you work with registered agents, and that is something that the CRM team looks into very seriously to ensure that the people who are wanting to sell these properties for us are RERA registered. And in fact, if they need any help in terms of registration, for some reason that they are probably new guys on the block, or maybe, and especially now when there are examinations which are ongoing.
Yeah.
So, and it's only after they finish that exam and once they've crossed it, and then only they can sort of sell your property. So we are out there and available so that we can help you become a channel partner to bring you into the fold. So it is important that, a channel partner is registered. Today, accountability is at its highest. And you see enough and more cases where a developer committed something but did not give the amenity or said something, and it's you have to take it very seriously.
So in Bengaluru market, is the agent having certificate is a mandate?
Yes, it is 100% mandate. Payout doesn't happen if you're not registered.
Same.
So what we ensure that while we have an empanelment process of channel partners, the first checkpoint is RERA certificate. So they need to furnish that certificate, then only we entertain any empanelment with the system. And that's how his leads and all whatever walk-ins or leads, whatever he provides, gets registered in the system. Otherwise, it's a big no.
Yeah, that's good.
Correct. At the site itself, that registration process has to be completed first.
On the other hand, there are existence of super brokers, who tries to consolidate the individuals who might have one lead or wants to have one sell, and then they channelize. But typically, being a developer, we do not get into that, or we yet to help somebody getting registered. But what we do as a developer, that my first checkpoint is your RERA certificate and a valid documentation, whatever is required for that. Unless and until those are provided, you are not empaneled to do business with us.
And that is needed because if these regulations are there in place, and from developer front also, brand also, you need to be strict about it.
And being a listed player, we need to abide by certain compliances over there. So Shriram Properties is known for...
Even listed and not listed, I feel that Maharera, the kind of policies they have come up with,
True.
if the brand is also strictly following, it's going to be important for not anyone and everyone becoming a channel partner, right?
Absolutely.
So coming to the next question, because
it's easy to lose respect or confidence than to earn it. So it is very critical that at every point you're sort of ensuring that you are playing as transparent and as honest and as forthcoming as possible.
True. Also, my next question is, I'm sure Satanik, you must be aware, when there was I would say dust storm in Maharashtra, the hoardings had flown, and there was a major hoarding which later got to know the advertising agency itself did not have the license to put that kind of hoarding. So when you go for such hoardings to consider in Bengaluru market and micro markets and all, do you make sure those agencies have licenses?
See, I'll tell you, being a marketer or being at the client side, it is not practically possible to go ahead and check each and every hoardings license. What we do instead, we go ahead with the trusted players in the market, right? So who has some credibility, or not some, probably the highest level of credibility in the market, and have established and demonstrated that kind of trustworthiness, right? In terms of procuring licenses, do legal businesses, and not randomly erect any of the hoardings and create visibility just for the client's sake. So we choose our partners accordingly, and it's a what we sign couple of documents over there that these are the whatever we are taking or we are shortlisting or you are providing as our visibility points. Those are licensed. Those are with proper legal permission and things like that. And that's how we go ahead and choose our vantage points. So yeah.
No, I understand physically you can't see all the hoardings, but
Right.
how do you make sure even the person whom you are tying up with has those relevant licenses of those places? Because it's important, because even in dust storm, whatever has come across, that player was in the market quite a while. It's not like it was a newbie.
True.
So how do you make sure that doesn't happen? Because when it happens, like how we have seen, if there would have been any real estate brand, it would have like the people were already very much, of course.
It was very tragic what
Yeah,
happened.
it was a tragic what happened, but if it happens to a brand, then it would have been a very bad situation. So how do
Disaster.
you make sure it doesn't happen?
So I think it is the awareness honestly came about after this tragedy which is there, and it's unfortunate that something like this has to happen so that malpractices which are happening came about. I would say that to be honest, it is very I may be renting space on that hoarding which is there, but also there is some strong amount of accountability which has to be taken for by the authorities. It's a hoarding. It's 100 feet by 100 feet or 100 feet by 60 feet, and it's right there in people's faces, and and when an authority is there and such a huge authority body is there, it is important that they are not allowing such things to happen. That's the sad part of it. As he rightly said, it's not possible to go and check out each and every single hoarding. But what we as consumers of that space can do is just to ensure that, we are sort of, asking them for documentation. And it's sad that it had to come now. But a strong request to the authorities that they need to look into such malpractices.
So lastly, I would ask, what would be your advice to the upcoming young real estate marketers who are planning to enter this ever-evolving landscape of real estate?
I would say come and venture out. There are a lot of fresh perspective which this sector demands today. Before it gets saturated with the very, very stereotypical marketing campaign, we need influx of fresh blood, fresh mind to come and venture out, be it from a different industry, be it from complete fresh perspective. A lot to do. Fun fact is the second largest employer in India after agriculture.
Yeah.
So if that sector cannot attract the fresh blood, who else it will be? It is not as rosy, as flowery as maybe with the FMCG sector or any other sector for that matter, but it will become tomorrow. And when it becomes rosy, I'm sure none of the other sectors will be able to compete with this. So that's my why I also came into real estate. I told you, right? So a lot of new things can be done over here. A lot of innovations possible. And it's what we are dealing with is one of the basics. So and it's ever growing kind of product, right? So I welcome each and everybody to venture out in this particular sector, and please put your perspectives. It'll be beneficial for all.
Great.
So I would say that it's a very, very exciting time in real estate. We are going from a very traditional brick and mortar industry into something which is completely revolutionized, digitized. There are some very key challenges in real estate which are never going to go away. One, you're buying the most expensive thing in your life. You'll buy it once, at max twice, especially when it comes to these markets. Two, you're buying it today, you're going to receive it years later. 2-3 years later. So you have to convince the guy to pay up today for something that he's going to get so late and for something so expensive. This is never going to go away. So that challenge of trying to convince this guy of what his dream home is now become how is the entire visualization going to be? And that's when there is so much prop tech which has come into this industry, and prop tech has just come in and it's booming, and we are all ourselves so excited every single day looking at what AR is doing and VR is doing and all the possible tools to sort of make that customer sort of take that buying decision. So it's a very, very exciting time in real estate, and I'm seeing a lot of new youngsters, fresh blood which is coming into real estate, which was not earlier the case. So with with this improvements in things, I'm excited that there'll be better talent which will come into this pool. So happy to have as many young fresh minds, and we can do so many new things together.
I was saying that if somebody loves challenges and doing something differently and get recognized very quickly on that, this is the sector to be in.
You sound like a pitch, na? Like, abhi ye pitch I run in any college, people will immediately jump. But it's a good way to.
But this is the reality, right? So there's a clutter which needs to be broken. There's fresh perspective which needs to be brought in, and challenges to be sorted out.
And a lot of scope of innovation in terms of marketing. There's so much to do.
So that's where we feel that we need people. We need fresh mind, fresh blood.
So quickly, this is our last round, which is fun round, and it needs to be quick, and no one can copy their answers. I know we have spoken in real estate, people say ki ye jo kar raha hai, main karunga, but not in this round. This is specifically made for marketeers like you. So let's begin. First, what's the most creative marketing campaign you have ever seen in real estate? You can quote your competitor if you want, but...
I think Rustamji's campaign about childhoods in Thane, that was nice.
What about you?
So for me, I would talk about one of the campaigns which we did from Common Floor. Back then, 2012, we named it as Property Ki Home Delivery. So we clubbed 4 industries together. That was one developer side, then banking side, legal side, and interior side. We created a cluster and we went to 500 apartments across cities in India. So home buying happened at their vicinity. So that was a massive campaign, and that's how the RW activation got its popularity, I would say.
Nice. Virtual tours or in-person visit, what's more effective?
In-person visit any day.
In-person visits.
Okay. Which social media platform gives you the best ROI?
Google.
Meta.
Okay. What's the biggest myth about real estate marketing?
That it can be sold from home.
It can be sold from home, meaning?
Like from home you can buy it without any visit, without any touch and feel.
Okay.
That it's boring and home buying is only for oldies.
Okay. If you had to choose data-driven marketing or gut instinct, what would you?
Data-driven marketing is more effective in my way.
Okay.
Both, because data will show you what you want to see a lot of times. You have to have that gut call and go ahead with it also.
Okay. Print ads or digital ads, what's your preference?
Digital ads. Print ads have only a shelf life of a few hours.
I would copy his answer. Digital ads.
Okay. With the same reason.
With the more sustained effort, with the same amount of money, I can sustain
That's the cost, exactly. The cost,
True. What's the most unusual property feature that you had to market?
Unusual property feature, it could be a utility without a washing machine point.
Okay.
So I did not understand the utility of that utility, to be very honest, but had to sell. That was a kind of a protrusion.
Wow. Okay. What about you?
I can't think of anything right now.
There was no such feature that was impossible, because utility without as you said, electronic point, I don't know how you sold. That's why he's a marketer. There was no feature like that you had to sell.
Not yet.
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Okay. Luxury or affordable housing, where's the most marketing challenge lies in?
Definitely luxury.
Luxury, okay.
I would say it's affordable because the segment is huge and it's that hard-earned money, right? So it's very difficult to take that 40, 50, 60 lakhs out of their pocket as compared to, somebody is having a disposable income of 5 crore and they need to shell out 2-3 crore. So that's the challenge.
So what's the most valuable skill for a real estate marketer?
So understand the customer psyche.
Okay.
It's the most important. Marketing starts with market. So you need to understand the market.
He should be a sales guy before he gets into marketing. He should get on the field and understand how sales happen and how customers react and behave and want things before he gets into marketing.
So the best advice that you have ever received and the worst advice that you have received but you haven't implied, but it still makes you laugh when you look back.
The best advice that I have received was to, even though I was always keen on marketing, but to actually do sales for a while. And I totally can relate to customers when I'm sort of thinking about marketing campaigns. And the worst advice was that if you venture into sales once, then your career is over and you're going to be stuck in sales forever.
Okay. I won't ask who told you that, but
So the best advice, which I still follow very religiously, is even though you're at whatever position, you need to be in the market. You need to see what your customers are saying, which I still do as a person. There is no point when this learning process ceases, right? So it's always progresses. So that's the best advice which I received back.
Students of marketing for life.
Yeah, it's like almost 14, 15 years back I received this. I still follow that. That's the best advice and which has been very fruitful in my career. The worst advice is somebody told almost 5-6 years back that you are the champ, you can do everything from the desktop itself. You don't have to learn anything new. So I said
So which is the book or I would say even podcast or movie, can be any one, which still inspires you and you want to go back if you have a bad day or good day?
So I remember reading a book called Who Will Cry When You Die?
Yeah.
So that gives me a lot of introspection, that probably reflects or probably hits you a bit deep that who you are, what you're doing and what is your purpose of life and who you are surrounded with and who you choose as your circle. So I would suggest if anybody can read this book who have not read, it's a good perspective driver.
Yeah.
I love the autobiography written by Richard Branson. And I can read it multiple times over. It's about the sheer determination of that person and when he's got into sectors which he has no understanding of, but it's just the sheer passion. And a modern version of that would be the Elon Musk book, which is again the same thing, when he's sort of realized that why do we do certain things in a certain way and we can sort of break the ceiling. And it's a testimony that every day he's doing something amazing.
So given a time where you need or where you can have your dinner or engagement for an hour or more than an hour with a historical figure or someone, an icon from real estate, who would that be?
I would say Dr. Niranjan Hirandani. I have very briefly seen him and been in the same room as him. And there is a certain aura that he carries. And the way he speaks, and I've seen so many interviews of his and the way he speaks, it's there's so much learning from a man who's so seasoned on a daily basis. So I wish I could have a meal with him and discuss things and learn so much from him.
Yeah.
So from the real estate sector, I already had the privilege of having my share of time with Mr. Anuj Puri, whom I really admired and kind of have worked with him directly while I was with Narang. So from the real estate sector is this, but from a historical figure, I'll still choose Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. Heard him speak, heard him talk, heard him engage with the young crowd, young minds, the way he does. Would definitely have loved to spend some time with him and pick his brains on something.
Nice. So what's the best way to handle negative feedback from a client?
Is to react on it. If the feedback is genuine, respond to it, be responsible and respond to it instead of ignoring and deleting the comment or from your mind. I would say facing any negative feedback is more impactful than doing anything else.
True.
I think it's about understanding that person's perspective. Is there anything constructive that comes out of it? Definitely, if there is, then you should take that and improve on that. If it's just someone just throwing a stone at you, then just ignore.
Okay. What's the one thing you always look for in a marketing report?
As many greens as possible, I would say. Sales. I would say how many units sold.
Okay.
That's something that I look at in a marketing report.
For sure, what's the conversion? So the metrics, there are certain parameters which we do. Let's say before conversions, what is my walk-in to booking conversion? What is my lead to walk-in conversion? So these are the matrices which keep floating across in my mind, because everything else will fall into the place. Right? So if I'm spending 1 rupee for 3 sales, if all the matrices or the funnel management is proper, things will be done. So I focus on that particular piece.
So if you wouldn't have chosen real estate as an industry, which industry would have been currently now if given time?
Media.
Media.
Yeah,
Anything specific in media?
So I would love to showcase something which is happening today, probably, and showcase an unbiased view of it. So that's always intrigued me. I worked in media segment for that matter, but it's always been there in my mind that maybe somewhere you can have something which reflects the raw version of it.
Raw version, yeah.
Yeah, that's how it is.
Yeah.
I like to imagine myself in different verses, I would say, if I had to. So growing up, I was a avid gamer. So I'm thinking in one world where probably Rishi is a gamer still and probably working on games and creating games. And another world, I would say that when I did advertising, I loved advertising. So possibly there's another Rishi somewhere out there who's just still doing a lot of advertising.
Nice. So how would you describe your leadership style in 3 words?
Inclusive, you have respected, and I would say clarity of thought.
Okay.
For me, it's approachable, simplicity, and innovative. So these 3 are my way of working.
Nice. And what are the 3 things you look for your team when it comes to hiring or being part of your particular team?
So 3 things is clarity of thought is something which I definitely look for. Second part is intent and attitude. So for me, intent and attitude are primary. Skill sets can be acquired.
True.
So that's what, and in fact, all my second line in command and everybody knows this fact, boss. If I'm hiring somebody, I don't want the dude of the world. I need somebody who wants to become the dude of the world.
As a hustler. Good.
I agree with him that there is that hunger has to be in that person. If he doesn't have a skill set, he can learn it, but that hunger from within has to be there to prove himself or prove herself. And a little bit of someone who can see different sides of things, someone who's an out-of-box thinker, whether that advice or that idea may be relevant in a certain case or not, but someone who likes to look at and explore things in their own manner. Yeah, but that hunger has to be there. At whatever stage you are, that hunger has to be there within.
So lastly, if you could give one piece of advice to your younger self starting in real estate marketing, what would it be?
Whatever I'm doing right now, I wish I could start 10 years back is what I'm looking at. And the second part is, as a sector, whatever we have realized that this is what customer needs. So I'll just flip the I would say the verse. Today we are at the buyer's market. Initially, if you see, it was a seller's market. I wish it was reverse. So that's how, if we could market ourselves back then, real estate would have been somewhere else.
So your advice to the younger self is to make sure that happens first.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
My advice would be that to keep innovating constantly, and it's absolutely okay to be the first in trying something out, and to just it's all right. There is it's a very Me Too industry, and everyone is looking at each other, so it's absolutely okay to not look at the others and do your own thing.
See, finally you agreed. It's a Me Too industry. Satanik has been trying to avoid it, finally said it. Thank you so
Yes.
much for coming today in Marketing Think Tank podcast. I'm sure our viewers would have learned a lot, especially by understanding how these marketing strategies work, and also understanding about those case studies we've spoken about, and understanding how TAM is defined in when it comes to certain projects, right? So thank you so much for coming in today. And yes, looking forward for all those projects more. Yeah.
Thank you
Thank
for
you so much
hosting.
for
Thank you
having
for
us here.
hosting. And I must say it's a brilliant initiative from your side.
Thank you.
Thanks.